kids dancing, stream platform with over half the United States on TikTok each month. A movie's worth of time. We're back. Spending over a movie's worth of time each day on the app session, in aggregate, open the app close to 19 times. You're trying to be entertaining with some new content. I think the demographics really interesting. We're aging up, we're mainstream. My grandma's on TikTok, and God bless her, she's 90 years old, but she gets a lot of joy. But there's something for everyone on TikTok. And I think everyone views this as another social platform, and that's fine, because I think it's important for everyone to understand that people don't come to TikTok to just check it. You watch TikToks. There's a big difference about checking your social media versus being on TikTok to find something new, because it's really the primary role is in social. TikTok, it's not a social graph, it's built on a content graph. And the reality of our success is based on the For You page, which many of you are on the app. The For You page is very different for everybody. It's all car dealers, because I've been liking all of your great content, which is good for business, but occasionally I get peppered in some pool stuff because my wife's looking at pools and I like new pools. Looking at financing options, we could get more of that. For You feed is very different. So keep that in mind. Your For You feed, your TikTok experience is going to be tailored to your interests, way different than mine. And here's a little sizzle we've created that kind of shows that user experience for those of you who have not been on TikTok, features and car dealers. How can you do TikToks without the big thing working?
Put your lapel down at your lapel mic.
Oh, do it, thank you.
Yeah, just take it off and put it right on the speaker.
That's understandable.
It didn't work.
We did it the other day.
It's like this and then back. All right, try that.
AKA Dr. Diesel. Real, I met this customer on TikTok, okay? On my video and sent her up here, and she just bought this brand new 2000. Hey, I'll show you. This is an all-electric BMW iX.
Awesome, man.
All right, you ready?
I think so.
You sure?
I think that's pretty much the user experience, right? The key thing is just think about the opportunity here. Country spending all this time on the app, download dealer community to provide something of value. And you look at the little sizzle reel we put together, you see very different approaches across all these. From an OEM doing something lifestyle with Subaru about dogs, or one of those dog puppies in it, that's a good thing. It's not TikTok approved, it's my approved. Feature messaging that's really polished. There's something for everyone that every dealership can play in that similar content strategy. And it doesn't take a giant production or budget, it takes an iPhone, which is really cool. And I also think the opportunity for just investment in general, like TikTok ads break through on the For You page. You have my full attention. Versus when I'm watching sports in the morning, getting my kids ready for school, I'm not paying attention. You have my full attention. What is the storyline that we're going to say to your users in your area? What we're all looking for, right? And tell a story that breaks on through. And on that note, we have captured time and attention, and people say that TikTok is more entertaining than other entertainment platforms. We already talked about over a movie's worth of time each day, less time watching TV because they get their content from TikTok. And you see all the stats from third parties about cord cutting, OTT, and just the reality of where time's spent. We're going to invest our resources in our media dollars to match more in line with the modern day consumer that is spending more time on a variety of platforms and not the traditional channels. And I added this one in there, and another platform gave us, one of their VPs, I think, gave a really good data point from their internal data at Google that there's a big shift happening about search on TikTok. And this is a real phenomenon that's taking place, that Gen Z is preferring search. And a little bit more, but TikTok's search function is real. Because you think about this and I try to tell a story that humanizes it. You think about a big purchase, my 10-year anniversary. I was trying to go surprise my wife not surprise, I wasn't surprised, we went for a 10-year anniversary. Research on travel, and we kind of got down to certain destinations. And we looked at all the review sites and trying to figure out what are the best types of properties we want to look at. It was kind of limiting. And when I found myself actually making the decision at that stage, I really found myself going to TikTok and getting real consumer reviews of their experience, bringing it to life, their reviews of the food. And this is really happening. Moved to a new city in Austin about 2 years ago. Spots just to verify, or get inspired to where to go. Interesting consumer behavior changes that are happening on TikTok that we all should be prepared for in this room. And we did study, a couple studies here, but we are home to the next generation of automotive buyers. Millennials and Gen Zs are almost 2 times more likely to purchase over 18 to 25 new vehicles in their lifetime, and they expect different things from their local dealer. Gen Z and millennial TikTokers are part of households that will buy new vehicles more frequently than the baseline. Well, it's interesting because we have another team that manages the OEM partnerships, and we're working on the automotive retail. And we spent the past 2 years talking about the why TikTok, about creative best practices, because we'll talk about why that's so important, but that's all I've been talking about. Some more data about the impact of the automotive community. Interesting about the potential here. The great thing about TikTok that we found from our research is that when you see automotive content on TikTok, it inspires action off TikTok. Of our US audience, and 52% said that after seeing automotive content, they went to go visit an automotive website for a car, they wanted to visit their dealership or test drive a car. Size take it what you will, but the reality is so much of our investment and time is trying to get the last click where that person's already in the model to get share. I think this is a much broader storyline about getting into considerations and inspiring action wherever they're at across the purchase cycle of the stage. And I think that we also have a measurement issue of a lot of people who sell cars. I'm really happy to hear that. Those all across the country, and some of the best creators, like they are incredible creators. Talent. They're the face of some of the OEM brands. These creators that are happening in your stores are more visible on TikTok than the manufacturing dichotomy shift. That we're seeing is you're there to be entertained and learn something. I mean, it's going to happen right there. Percent are going to Google to search for your dealership or going to another automotive website that we manufacture. Big shift. And anecdotally, I talk to the creators, I go, I have a couple thousand views or whatever, or someone viral. The one thing that has been a pattern from my anecdotal discussions with these folks is they're seeing spikes in Google referral traffic and shopping actions on those 2 weeks after going viral. So, relation of shopping action engagement that's taking place on TikTok. We're researching and trying to qualify that this year to prove that out. When you start talking about the external factors of how we're inspiring action, how we're getting the consideration set, there really is a massive opportunity that never existed before. Before you had to have a major social following. It doesn't exist. Who here has heard of Clancy's Auto Body Shop? All right, this is the power of TikTok. Clancy's Auto Body Shop. Check it out. TikTok and check it out. The best content wins on TikTok. Clancy's Auto Body Shop had someone who posted their first TikTok. So he was hired as a social media coordinator, that he lied on his resume. Body shop with a dancing cat and sound. 1 million views later, calls, national storylines. The best content wins. That became the catalyst. Anyone with a great content can change your business overnight. It's never existed before. That type of power. You look at the top 50 on Spotify right now, how many of those songs originate from going viral on TikTok? The really unique changes that are happening. And then you think about this. This is from Jason at Lockhart Cadillac. This is a quote from him based on search results on TikTok. The customer says, I found you on TikTok. It's a damn good feeling. Times per day. Behavior. Think about the type of content that you want to be found for. Manufacturer. You want to be found for model content. You want to be found for local community-based content. Right now you see Cadillac, you see Lockhart Cadillac on TikTok, and that is across the whole US. Where the customers are coming from, it's coming from the entire country. And that's a major shift, I think, that we never really had the opportunity to think about investing. We're going to do a lot about telling stories, not just from TikTok, from dealers and dealer creators, dealer groups, talking about the success they found from organic and paid strategies, people selling cars, the storylines. And the cool thing about it, everyone's doing a very different approach. Funny person, not everyone's a dancing person. Some people are just product experts. Some people are just really informative dealership personnel talking about how to shop for a car. And these are all things that any dealer can do. You just got to find your own voice and experiment. So where to start? We talked about this for the past 2 years now. We've not been talking about advertising at all. We've been about creative value proposition to TikTok, but it's all connected at the end of the day. And the reason why we haven't talked about paid, and because we want to do this right and build a very valuable platform business for the people in this room, is the impact of creative on our platform is drastic. On this platform is the X factor. right? They don't want to see the offer ads. They don't want to see a sales event ad unless it's done timely with the right audience. It's really hard to do that organic first because organic lets you experiment with no cost and resources. Where you find your tone, you find inspiration, and when you find that, that's when it evolves into paid, and there's some really good stories that we can tell there. And for organic, I think there's also still a big value proposition that I want all dealers to be creating, and I've heard some things over the years now. Why are dealers investing in production capability? Spend all this time trying to be a viral star. I understand that argument, but at the end of the day, engagement on TikTok can convert to paying customers, and it's all about time and experimentation. That they're executed. And people that engage with content on TikTok, they're more likely to visit your website, they're 57% more likely to search for your brand online, they're more likely to go to your store, and 150% more likely to purchase. Whether they're ready to buy now or later on this platform and staying continuous and becoming a visible brand either from the product, the manufacturer, or in your community, these are things that will have a material impact on your business. We're going to spend a lot of time this summer really talking to the dealer process account strategy. There's a lot of tools that we think are available, such as analytics on insights, posting and controlling the geography area, how to respond, where your links should be, making sure your information's up. We're going to spend a lot of time this summer thinking about scenarios that work for your businesses because honestly, right now, dealers are taking all very unique approaches. Profiles from their sellers. Some are using the business profile and doing it a certain way. Have multiple stores and then one group store, the TikTok account. This summer, but I really encourage everyone to spend some time making sure your business account is set up. There's a lot of free tools that we're unlocking with new products that are going to be extremely beneficial to dealers on this later half of this year. So I talked about getting into gear. Checklist here, and I think it's pretty simple. Make sure you're on TikTok. This account. Talk internally to make sure your passwords are set up. The owner owns that. You can do it that way. Encourage your employees to have their own, but also find a way to kind of encourage creativity from anyone in your stores. Also recommend searching for relevant hashtags, going to take a look at the manufacturers, finding dealers following them, seeing their approaches, looking for inspiration. Highly recommend going to creativecenter.com for TikTok. It has top ads. It has our solutions. This is the place where you start. Need information. It's a step-by-step guide of everything you need to know for TikTok to find inspiration, trending sounds, trending hashtags, really cool stuff that will help you develop your content strategy. Also, set up your TikTok ads manager and link your organic accounts to them. You'll go viral. Promote that to people in your area. Florida, that went viral, great. 75% of your views are in California. Table stakes are, I want to make sure I'm buying the audience in my market. Targeting by DMA Metro and zip code is currently in alpha and summer should be GK. So we have a zip code for some of the smaller markets, which is a block in the past. Posting organically, if you do go viral, promote that content in your market. We'll talk about how to do that and test and learn. I think that people want TikTok to be the massive lead driver, the highest converter. We're working to get there. We're building amazing products. We can do it. More mindset as you experiment on our ads platform. How are we doing on time? Doing good? All right, cool. All right, making TikToks. I think this is the fun part. Making TikToks. Think like a marketer, act like a creator. I think that dealerships should be their most authentic self on this platform. What does your dealership stand for? In there, they all have a role to play. What does your dealership do in your community? The product that you guys, what's the value part of that? We'll talk a little bit about it right here. We surveyed our users. Our audience wants to see from dealerships product education. 78% want vehicle features, from their education on vehicle features from their salesperson. Also, vehicle features, how to use these types of content and technology. Transparency on deals, cost, and financing. They want to have a relationship and help them through this process. They do. Look at the ecosystem and all the effort it takes to create content as a dealership. It's common that everyone has an opportunity to do, and some of the best dealers do this. Product. 30-second TV spots, you have static assets. It's not necessarily vehicle reviews, which is great, but I personally like the stuff that impacts my life. Creator. I don't know if anyone follows Mama Mama. Does anyone follow Mama Mama? All right. Something really simple at the end of her videos. It's about a stroller test. Guess what? That's meaningful to a suburban dad with 3 kids. That little detail right there about a feature of the trunk space and humanizing it to me, it's relevant. In my area, that's really fascinating, right? Start thinking about feature-based messaging. Features with the 5 series right now, they're going viral. The sound of the engine, the driving experience, some of the cool tech, how it impacts people's lives in a 10 to 15 second clip. It has right now, great, go viral, and great value. This is a journey, taking a different approach. That is finding success that I've talked to, and I think they all have a role to play. He is really taking a look at the assets you already have available and repurposing them for TikTok. What's the view time? Where's the drop off? How do I do transitions? Make it more catchy. Experience on a For You page. I'm scrolling. It's going to a broad audience, or it's not retargeting. You need to have something very catchy. The objective that you want to do with this TikTok to get them to take action. Second gear is empowering creators. Creators, we have a lot of different services. The Creator Marketplace, our TTCX program. Creators that are available both in our platform. Interesting innovation taking place across the industry with agency partners that they're starting to bring production houses in-house and starting to arm dealers with our creative. But take a look at local celebrities. Take a look at college. I always thought this was a great idea. Detroit pizza is a big thing right now. I guess it kind of was. My favorite Detroit pizza place being connected with my dealership, or my favorite high school sports team. Like community, that's not just always about selling, it's about you being a part of the community and working with creators to tell that story. It's not just selling the car, it's selling the dealership, and the dealership's a staple of that community. And lastly, we want people to make TikToks, and that's where the fun begins, to get that fun making your own TikTok. At the end of the day, and the audience will tell you, and your view count, and your engagement will tell you if it's working or not. Videos will show you kind of what this looks like in practice. Here's one repurposed. So the dealership is taking OEM footage and kind of cutting it up with sound. He is an amazing dealer with this type of approach. This is a demo from AET. Pretty cool concept. I like this idea. We're doing some interesting things with our catalog, for example, but there's a lot of interesting things happening with our ad platform with inventory integrations as well. Making TikToks, this one's a good one. Where it has some of those little things, or the dealership experience, right? But that's a cool sound. It was trending on TikTok. Makes sense. Caught my attention because I know that sound. Now I know that the car dealership. It's kind of cool. Like, you pass the vibe check. Presentation. Cool with videos is not as fun as the most. The starting point is looking at your existing content. A couple things to look at. Evaluate your TV and digital assets that you already have. Look at the social assets. Look at the sponsored events that you have, any promotional events, any dealership experiences, scenes footage. Education, I think there's a big training gap for EVs and parts of the service training content that could really be a cool story to tell if done right. Behind the scenes of what goes on in a dealership, kind of the dialogue, the banter, the processes. It's interesting to people on TikTok. And then make those assets editable for TikTok. Captions, text overlays, transitions, effects, duets, stitches. These are all part of the TikTok experience and the things that dealers can do on their own. Creative Center will give you a lot of inspiration to figure out how to integrate those things and see what works across other. I'm working on building a repository here, but like I'm trying to get a library where it's basically all my favorite TikToks. So I can just have a website where you guys can see my favorite videos, breaking them down. I think the idea is think entertainment, think about certain things that are scalable. New car acquisition, think about content areas that are modular, figure out how you're going to create content around that. I think this is a big one. Some of you may have really good, some of the best, it's really easy for some like the luxury producers and the custom truck people. Everyone loves cars, doing it in a sexy way. There's an enthusiast angle there, right? People love Harleys, build content that appeals to a mass audience and the community that already exists. And then recruitment. I've heard a lot about personnel recruitment. TikTok is a great channel to talk about dealership recruitment, whether that be technicians, salespeople. Really good efficiency in terms of like promoting your market about what your dealership stands for and working there and the benefits. There's a lot we can do in helping out as well. We talked about the Creative Center, TikTok.com. This is where everyone asks, like, I need to know all best practices about TikTok. TikToks, this is the starting point. I think you'll get what you need from there. And then I want to talk about kind of our services that we offer, services that we manage, and there's third-party partnerships that we offer. TikTok Creative Center tools, they're located in TikTok Ads Manager, the app platform to help you take your existing assets and work with it. We also have an app called CapCut that a lot of people use, or Canvas, and great templates, party tools available in the Creative Center that will help you bring it to life. Places for you to source your own creators. We have, I think, 35,000 creators that want to work with businesses of all different sizes. You can search criteria. Say, I want to find an athlete in this area, or I want to find a mom in my market, or I want to find someone in the state. Let them negotiate one-to-one, see if they can create TikToks for you. A way to get started if you don't want to create it in-house. We also have marketing partners to remix your assets. You give us a bunch of assets in the brief, and they remix them and turn them around, as well as finding creators or actors to create TikToks for you as well. All that is from the Creative Center. Take a look there and see what's best for you. The wrong way. I think it's a journey. They all have a role to play. Unlocking the opportunity. So we haven't talked about paid for a reason, and I told you it's like creative storytelling platform. You can't just take your TV spot and make it work completely. Like, talk about paid. We're starting to feel really confident about the product roadmap, and I have enough data from agency partners and the OEMs, like the opportunity's there. And I think the reality is we've been over-invested into the lower funnel for a long time. That's a lot of dealers. They want to be the most expert performance marketers. Everything's got to have finite budgets. I get that. But lower funnel social, I think, has really became the new upper funnel brand. Large organizations, the Carvanas of the world, the Airbnbs that built their entire business for performance marketers, shifting back to upper funnel because they're seeing efficiency. TikTok either. We're seeing brand campaigns that just, before they just do conversion or retargeting campaigns, they're having 2 to 3 times lower CPAs. And that's the connection of building up, bringing new people in the fold, getting engagement, driving engagement, and then retargeting and driving conversion campaigns at the appropriate time. Hey, what's the impact here at the end of the day? PL or my cost per sale versus the other channel? It's a journey. Experiment with this mindset. I think we'll be able to hit the CPA targets, and the products are coming, and the targeting parameters are coming there. So I'm really excited about that. If I was a dealer, I think if I was testing on TikTok ads, framework that we would approach. It's a multi-phased learning approach with test, learn, and optimize. Awareness benchmarks, 2, the mid-funnel, 3, baselines and conversions. And I'm going to walk you through this a little bit. So getting started. I created some content. I like it. It makes sense to me. You went good organic. This is where I would start. Objective or video view objective. Targeting people in your market. Zip code based or DMA based baseline metrics. And aim for 30-40% audience penetration so you can see what your budget gets, what the total audience is in your market, and try to set your frequency 2 times, 3 times a week. These are general brand building best practices. Success for this chapter of it all would be driving awareness and search traffic. Google Analytics to see if we're seeing search referral traffic or other shopping actions from other spikes from this piece. But we're really trying to get your own benchmark because reach, impressions, and video views, CPM and CPV benchmarks. Ask people, what's good benchmark success? It comes down to you setting your own benchmarks. Very much. Benchmarks, and I showed you the ad creative for this person and that person at this stage. Like, those are totally different campaigns for 2 different dealerships, totally different purposes. Not enough that way to benchmark. So we recommend building your own benchmarks and following this piece to kind of move forward to the next stage. This is all about testing audiences. So phase 1 was about testing creative-based benchmarks. This is more about testing audiences. Traffic campaigns to your website. And also doing a pixel on the home page or the EDP page to make sure that you're having kind of the first conversion event. Again, location, zip, city, or DMA. But the custom audience would be anyone, you're going after anyone who liked or viewed your ads from phase 1. They reached that saw your video, liked it, viewed it, after aggressively because they're familiar with you now, right? They have a sense of what you're about. Interest, let's get them to drive traffic to learn more. What I'm trying to get here is the cost per visit benchmark. What's the drop-off rate coming on traffic? That's your baseline. The better audience targeting creative. We'll also look at CDP conversions as another success metric here at this stage. And then lastly, I think This one is probably where I think the majority of the investment is today, but I think we're getting close to it. Lead generation and conversion events on your website. Pixel, there's a lot of information on how to do that on TikTok for business. Very first party oriented, so you can upload your CRM list, hash it out. And also, once you have the pixel set up, you can retarget those audiences. So that gets a little interesting there. And then create lookalikes to expand it as well. The test variable on this one will be trying different first-party audiences, conversion events, and retargeting. And the primary measure of success would be your conversion rate, the cost per action, and also the ROAS, how you guys set it. And TikTok Ads Managers, you know, is very similar to other ads platforms, self-serve ad platforms. I think there's a lot of tools that feel right at home. It's very easy to run there. All together, set up your TikTok business account. Think about who needs access to it. Dealership handle, access to someone who's going to be there for a while. Do it and set up your ads manager account. Center for inspiration. Start following dealerships. Start following OEMs. Start searching for content that you think will be relevant to your content strategy. And experiment posting your own videos organically. Encouraging your sales team to do that. If you find something that works, I highly recommend putting paid media, moving to the paid piece to make sure that those with content is seen in your market, and that's kind of like the table stakes. Activation, follow this learning agenda, set your own benchmarks, and we're going to do a lot more training off of this. Starting point, looking on untap the opportunity that's available on TikTok. This is kind of the process we go through. This is a hard one to prepare for because you have people at all different stages of the journey. I think the reality is that, like I said this before, but we have overinvested in the lower funnel last click world and trying to convert that last customer. But the reality is that the OEMs aren't doing the job. Assets for you. Everyone's a creator. Responsibility to create demand. The dealership marketing or your agency to do it. Everyone has a role to play. Innovative, they will disrupt the car purchase process because it's not linear, right? Different stages. Everyone needs to have a relationship with it. And I don't want this to become the sales offer, inventory feed retargeting. I can tell they're already coming out. The level of innovation I've seen in the past year and a half without any guidance, it's really encouraging, and we're really hope that we can invigorate all our shopping because people are there to be entertained and learn something too. The same way you're not here to be sold through your door. Hopefully, you guys, there's a lot of cool things coming, and continue to ask your agencies, the OEMs, and your personnel to experiment because the ones that experiment will win this game. TikToks, that's what we say. I stand by it. Thank you for the time, everyone. I also wanted